Welcome to my podcast, The Art of Feeling Better. We are quite clearly out in nature, chilling in the hammocks today. So your beautiful space that we've kind of hijacked and I keep spending all my time in, because it's just so healing and so lovely. And I thought, as part of the progression of this podcast and kind of looking at all of these topics that we talk about quite often around all of the broken things that maybe don't work, or the spaces that we find ourselves in where we're unable to heal, or whether we're sort of finding ourselves around a lot of toxic energy, things like education and health and society in general. And we tend to gravitate back to here, don't we, to nature, because that's where the medicine is. And I love listening to you speak when we've been here before and we've done some mindfulness and some meditations, and just hearing you speak about some of the science behind it, I guess, or the actual the real medicine that we can get from nature, which is just lost, isn't it? It's completely lost. And my big passion now is to try and connect in with my knowledge and the work that I do around the medicine wheel and the different spaces and the different kinds of elemental medicine that we can get, is to try and bring other people in, like yourself, people that work in these spaces, to try and share a bit of that. So in the north, the space that I work in the north is all around the natural environment, around the earth, around the planet itself and the natural environment. So I'm trying to get some courses and resources set up that make it really easy, some easy language for people that aren't necessarily used to this kind of stuff. I think it's very woo-woo, and to maybe understand just how powerful the natural environment is. And it's free, isn't it? It's like I've got abundance of it everywhere. So I thought I just wanted to speak to you and chat with you around making some nice noises around trees. I mean, that's your thing, trees.
Yeah,
is your thing,
it
and,
is,
and me,
absolutely.
I resonate so much. So tell me about anything you want to share around your experiences and around
wow,
trees.
I could talk for hours and bore many people doing this, but yeah, I think the first kind of sciencey word is that biophilia word, really, and the fact that we as a human species have evolved with nature. So if you think about the length of time that we've been as humans as we are now, if you like, only about that much of the time is time that we haven't lived in nature and we haven't survived. So if you think about evolution, everybody evolves, everything evolves together, and everything evolves as a circle of life, and we're all connected and everything else. So we've got a natural connection to nature, and we've used it for survival, for food, for medicine, for fuel, for building, everything you can imagine we've been able to get from nature. So it makes sense then that when you go into nature, your blood pressure reduces, your heart rate reduces, your immune system boosts, your happy chemicals, you get your dopamine, your serotonin, all those lovely chemicals go up, cortisol goes down, and the thing is, there's nothing woo about that. We can come into nature and we can go, oh my God, this is amazing, and you get the feeling, that awe feeling like you get when you go into maybe a cathedral or a beautiful building of some description. So you can feel it, but knowing that science is there is just incredible.
That's the difference, isn't it? Because you can't. I've always had an affinity to nature, always. Particularly trees, very similar to you. We resonate, I think. There, trees is a big thing for me, and you can feel it. You can't deny it, can you? You can't say no. But a lot of people are still so resistant because we've disconnected so much. I think we've completely shut off from it. And that's really sad, because then not only are we disconnected, but we're actively pushed in the opposite direction rather than being pushed towards it. And even I knew when I was going to be talking to you today, I thought, I want to mention this to see. The term tree hugger is such a derogatory, negative connotation. But when it's bandied about like towards, it's like, yeah, medicine, man. It's like all your chemicals. There's a science behind it that people fail to understand.
Absolutely.
But the fact that the terminology is so, oh yeah, she's one of them hippies, new agey tree huggers.
I think it is changing a little bit. People are understanding, and there's some, players and some famous people now that are understanding and are actively supporting woodlands and growing trees and things like that. But if you're in a mature woodland, those chemicals that you're getting from those trees are wonderful. But then you also get the added benefit of the skin to nature contact, and you get the energy balance. And that goes down to an atomic level of how that changes your body and the energy levels. It actually, it's not a very scientific way of explaining it, but it flushes those toxins that you get from synthetic materials and artificial lights and all those things that we pick up on that cause stress and distress and all those other things, and it flushes them out, and it just balances your hormones and everything else. So yeah,
so it's really a reset, isn't it? A reboot. And the amount of time, and I mean, obviously it's quite obvious now, I don't really, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people say, but I do find it interesting, you know, shoes off. Whenever I can possibly get my shoes off, I have my shoes off. And there's still the kind of language that's like, what are they like that's an unusual thing, or that's something a bit silly, or it's to be ridiculed, or I just find it so interesting, because that's what we're meant to do, and we've come so far removed. There's a judgment, isn't there, which I think we've been trying to sort of get out of that space for a long time, and just trying to share a bit of knowledge, a bit of wisdom. But I'm doing some work around that at the moment within some of the energetic courses that I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to dispel the woo, and I'm trying to explain things from a scientific standpoint around electromagnetic frequency and around discharging all of that into the earth. And that's what we do it for. 30 minutes, feet on the earth,
really
every day is
yeah,
medicine, absolute healing and medicine. But then if you operate in certain spaces and you go in and you say that, I think, just take your shoes off and everything's magically fixed.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to try it, see what happens.
You get everything from it, you know, all of the things that happen in the world, the floods, you know, the temperatures and everything else. You come into a woodland, it's naturally cooler. You know, the trees soak up water. The more woodlands that we're getting rid of, the more of a harsh, a harsh environment that we can't survive in. We're creating,
isn't it?
Yeah,
completely
absolutely
unnatural. And like you say, I think the education maybe to get out there, as difficult as it is, and it shouldn't be that difficult, should it? It's just ancient wisdom, is the fact that everything is finely calibrated to work in harmony. And most people will look around and not only do they not see it, not respect it, and just completely abuse it, but when you have that understanding of how everything works, and under the ground, all of the systems that work, and how everything speaks to each other, and
hear the birds.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying. They're joining in the conversation.
Getting very noisy up there.
Yeah, but that purpose that everything helps each other. It's the perfect it's a perfect analogy for how humans should live, isn't it? How nature works, and you'll have certain things that operate in a certain way to protect something else, and in turn that would feed that. And I just think we can learn a lot, can't we, from nature? We can learn an awful lot from being in this environment. And I know a lot of the work that you do about forest schools is a huge big thing, that we're trying to get more knowledge about that into mainstream education, because until recently, for me anyway, it's been very much that alternative provision, that this is like, where there's nowhere else to go, throw them in the forest. And now things are shifting a little bit, that people are starting to understand the benefits, and that you can actually learn anything.
You can learn anything in the outdoors. I've even done sessions on the Reformation outdoors, and we've created a church, and then we've acted out, all sorts happening. You can do anything in the outdoors. We're going to be doing some numeracy stuff coming up. But our waiting list is massive, and we're heavily dependent on funding. And schools now are phoning us up to refer children that they think will have a benefit. And one of our children went to a parents' evening. He's just been for a block of 6 forest school. And they've asked if we can carry on with this provision for him. He's been taken out of school for 2 hours to do this. But the knock-on effect in school is that he has more attention, he's got more energy, he's more lively, he's excited about the next forest school session. So there's a carrot there, but there's also the benefits that he's getting from being around the trees. We could run an alternative provision. We could run one all the time.
You could do the whole curriculum could be absolutely embedded in the natural environment. And what a way to learn in a space that's conducive to learning and isn't.
Absolutely. And when we know that the world is going to change, and it's very much digital based, and you know, they say now that there's not a lot of point in going to university, because in 3 years so much can change. You know, that you're out of date as soon as you come out. So is there a way of children's life being split between a digital world and a natural world, and then they get, you know, the benefits of both? But what they do get as well is, if they get to know nature, they get to care about it because they see it instead of just walking through it. And then everything they do on this side in the digital world is going to be more mindful and hopefully not detrimental to the planet.
I think it's perfect, and I think I've had this conversation a few times now about the fact that we can't go backwards. We can't go backwards. We have to keep moving forward. We have to embrace both, but we can't lose the old ways, can we? And that's my big thing, is trying to balance the both, I think, and try and get that ancient wisdom of how to survive as a species, which is like innate knowledge we know, and that's why we're so uncomfortable, because we know we're not operating the way we're supposed to, but we're like, oh, well, everyone else is doing it and I'm being told to do it, so I better do it. If we can shift away from that, and I think spaces like the one that you've built, it's people can immerse themselves in that healing space, but you collectively learn how to learn together. So I think even if things are moving really quickly, this doesn't change. This innate knowledge doesn't change. And you can have this space that lights people's brains up and helps them to learn how they learn best and what matters to them and their purpose, their identity, and how they can look after their environment and each other and themselves. And like you say, then they take that knowledge and then they apply it in the digital world, but they're not so disconnected that, you know, you see things all the time, don't you, where there's a picture of somebody looking at a picture of a tree, where there's a tree there and it's trying to, we need to stop that really badly. We need to...
But there are some benefits from looking at a picture of a tree as well, not as much. And there was a study in America where they found that people that went out into nature, it was their cytosine, it was their anti-inflammatory part of their body was increasing and being boosted when they were out in nature. And then they did an experiment with a group where they had two different groups that were in a hotel, and they piped in cypress essential oils, and it was boosted, but only by 20% instead of by 50%. So there is a benefit to kind of us manipulating the natural environment, but it's not as big a benefit as when you're out in it.
Yeah, and you can see that through things like meditation and the practices that we do. And when I do journey work or meditation, I'm really connected to nature. So I could be sitting in a block of flats hotel room somewhere, no access to anything green, but if I can get into a meditative space where I'm using all those senses and I'm recalling the sights, the sounds, the smells, you know, this is what we do, but you know how powerful it is. You can access that healing and that chemistry wherever you are.
Absolutely.
It's not the same as being there, is it?
No, but a lot of what we do is building people's toolkits. So we work with the whole family, so we have the family sessions, but we also run parent support sessions and just any sorts of retreats and all sorts. So we focus on trying to build the toolkit, because not everybody's going to resonate with every idea, but like you said, if I can teach them some simple breathing techniques and connect them to nature, and then start doing visualizations where they can visualize the tree and the gift it's giving them, then like you said, if they're having a really bad day with their children and they're just like, they're tearing their hair out, they can take a few moments or go in the bath or something and just imagine they're in the woodland.
Absolutely.
And it helps
Use
hugely.
their tool. And there's so much science, so much evidence. There's little tricks that we do around anchor points, where when you're meditating, you press a certain point on your hand and then that's your switch when you need it. There's so many different tools that you can use and take back into potentially very toxic and stressful environments, but you have to be able to access these kind of spaces to get the most benefit, don't you, to learn those tools in a space. And I could sit in a big classroom and try and teach people mindfulness and breathing and meditation. It's almost impossible for people to shut off long enough to actually...
It does make it much easier when you're outdoors, and I think it's because you get that chemical boost.
Yes, I
that
agree.
Automatically puts you into that more meditative state. Yeah. So I love sound baths and I love all the different things that you can do, but I love it more when I can do it outside.
Yeah. Oh, it's magnified by...
Definitely magnified.
And it must be, like you say, it's definitely the fact that you have a bit of a reset when you get into the natural environment anyway, so you switch back to parasympathetic anyway, and you're in that nice space.
Definitely.
So then you're more likely to be able to access the tools.
Yeah.
But it's getting people to recognise that, isn't it?
That soft fascination. So they reckon that just gazing out at nature, just the movement, the colours, everything of nature, just has that calming effect on everything. And they've even done studies on children's eyesight, and how much there's more children that have got short-sightedness and long-sightedness because they're only got two distances that they're looking at, whereas if you're outside, your eyes are developing so much better.
Such a good point. I never even thought that before, but you've got so many different things.
And opticians are telling people now, parents now, if their kids go in and they need glasses, you need to take them out more and develop those muscles.
Gosh,
definitely.
that makes so much sense. Everyone's just kind of, yeah, it is
So
powerful.
it does every part of your body. And there's no coincidence either that, you know, at the beginning of the season, the plants that come out, like now, there's lots and lots of plants that can help with hay fever, and that have really, really good boosts of kind of energy boosts, and lots
mint,
of
before we were playing with the mint,
cleansers.
cleansing,
So there's
detoxing.
cleavers and things that can do detoxes. And then at the end of the year, you've got more things that are for the immune system and give you a boost ready
Rose
for the
hips
winter.
and
So
well, that's what it's there for. It's there because we're meant to be working with it in sync.
Absolutely.
That's why they happen at these times, because that's their gift and that's what we're meant to be doing. We just trash it, but instead we completely disrespect it.
And that's where the medicines come from, but they're just wrapped up in a global identity, aren't they? And not many people know that they come from, you know, willow bark or foxgloves, digitalis, and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
white willow, good painkiller. I mean, I have lamb's ear. I don't know what the term for it in my garden. Huge big one. It was a cutting that was gifted to me, and I've grown it and grown it and grown it. And Craig, the kids, everybody, every time there's any kind of injury, and I've got aloe everywhere, loads of aloe, all kinds of things, and all my garden is just medicine and food and medicine. And it happened again at the weekend. 2 people in my family are like, got any medicine? Like, what's happened? So we'll have a little, like, we had a bit of sunburn, so the aloe goes on, and then the lamb's ear, every kind of injury we have, because it's also known as backyard bandage. So the leaves are, I'll bring some to show you, they're white and really thick and really velvety, and I believe it was used in World War One as a bandage.
Same as plantain, isn't it?
Same as plantain, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Great. So I'm just wrapping. Somebody hurt their toe, and I was like, "Well, put this on it first, then we'll wrap it up in that." And it was like some kind of miracle had happened. It's like a couple of hours later. How did you do that? I'm like, that's why it's here. You know, that's what it's used for. But for me, it's like passing on that knowledge, isn't it? Like one of these in your garden. It's used for everything.
Yeah,
brilliant. So
we use plantain very similar to that, and I've had people that've got toothache just chew it and put it on the tooth and things like that. It's really, really good.
But we just lost the knowledge, haven't we? We've lost it, and we need to kind of bring that back and share it. And I guess again, the barrier is that it's been a lot of what we do has been so discredited over the years, especially it's very difficult to get that credibility and to get into the spaces where it's needed, but much different now, isn't it? The shift is definitely happening, where people are starting to be a little bit more open to the woo. It's not such a bad thing anymore.
Well, it was given the woo idea, wasn't it, by people that didn't want us to help ourselves, I think. And
exactly. It's the terminology used to discredit and say, no, don't look over there. Here's the solution. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just silly, crazy. And that's you know, unfortunately, the road that we've gone down. But some of us are kind of sat there going, still over here when you're ready. Just come back and learn something together. So that's where we're at. So tell me a little bit more about what's happening up here, because then I'll add some links in to anything you want me to add, really, to the website.
That's
so
brilliant.
what's happening on site? What are you planning?
So we're becoming an events site and a holistic site for education and well-being. We've just had some funding from the lottery, and it's through Natural Resources Wales, so we're going to become part of the National Forest of Wales, which is really exciting.
So exciting.
So we're going to be managed public access, so that we can carry on working with vulnerable and isolated groups and things. But it means that we can offer lots and lots of different holistic experiences in nature. We can rent spaces out. We've got a teepee, we've got fire circles, we've got hammocks, as you can see, loads of resources, this wonderful woodland. We've got some events as well, some festivals coming up. So we've got Pagan Fest coming up, Wild Woman Woodland Weekend, which we're running. So if anybody wants to come and join us in the woods, they can do. And all sorts. I've got some weddings. I've got my wedding license.
That's exciting,
so
isn't
people
it?
can legally come here and choose any tree within 47 acres that they would like to get married underneath. And I think that's a really nice thing, because the law changed at the end of 2021, but it's taken a long time for people to be able to get caught up.
How gorgeous is that, though?
Yeah, so you don't have to go in a teepee or under an arch or anything man-made. You can just get married. You could get married sat here in hammocks if you wanted to.
I wish that had been an option when we got married, although I don't know whether Craig would have. He'd gone along with it, but what a nice thing to be able to do, to have that choice. Oh,
We got married here, but we had to get married out elsewhere, and then we came and had our party here, me and my husband, so nearly 20 years ago.
Wow.
But yeah, and the beauty is there's unlimited guests, so you can have your festival wedding. We've got stages and license to do drink and things like that. So yeah, we had a masquerade ball for our wedding.
Oh, I love it.
So everything. I had Mozart sat on one side and Shrek on the other. It was just bonkers.
That sounds like the best wedding ever. Yeah. Oh God, what a cool wedding. See, it makes me want to get married all over again. But it's okay, I won't. So I have 3 questions for you. I'm asking everybody that I speak to 3 questions. So the first question is, it's a big one. So just the first thing that comes to you.
Okay.
How do we change the world? What needs to happen? How do we make the shifts that need to happen?
Okay. We stop cutting down woods.
Yep.
That's simply. Don't worry about planting and things like that. We stop cutting down the mature woodlands now because it takes so long for a woodland to develop. Existing woodlands, protect them and let them grow because they will naturally grow outwards. That's the big one. Self-awareness. Can I do 2?
Yeah, do
Am
2.
I allowed?
Go on, do it, yeah.
Self-awareness. I think more and more people need to know that they are in control of their own life. Hopefully, I know there's some exceptions, but if you are in control of your own life, you have the power to make those decisions, to make those changes.
Autonomy, isn't it?
Yeah, and get to know yourself, really. Do the work.
Yeah, I love it. So you're not playing off somebody else's sheets then, are you?
Yeah, or blaming other people for things that are happening in your life.
When you have control,
It's a hard one. It's a really hard one, that.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I'm doing a lot of this with Mindset Mojo, with that area of work around how the brain works in those spaces, and how a lot of the time it's even if you're in a really uncomfortable place and you don't like what's happening, it's still more comfortable than actually having to own it.
Absolutely.
And it's much easier to then just be able to pass blame and, well, I can't do this, it's not my fault, when it takes courage, doesn't it, to step into that space where actually full autonomy, I'm in control of everything.
And there's difficult. A reason. If you can find out what the benefit is to that bad behaviour that you've got, oh my God, it's a game changer.
It is a game changer, yeah. That's
There'll
the learning,
be a reason
isn't it?
somewhere in the past why you're ill every 3 months, why you do overwhelm. Is it because that's the only time that anybody's ever cared for you? Do you know, there's some reason in
that's
there,
the magic,
isn't there,
isn't
about
it? That's the learning and that's the healing. It's just pain. It's just
self-awareness.
People avoid that because it feels uncomfortable. But the irony is that's where the medicine is. You have to go into that space and pull that out, and then it is the game changer. That's brilliant. Love it. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next question is on a very small scale now. I'm trying to get tips from everyone I speak to that we can build this toolkit of things that will just help people to feel better in the present moment, easy things that people can just do in their daily life that will help them to feel better, because that's the name of the podcast. So is there one thing, you can have 2 if you want, but just the main thing that you might do in your practice that helps you feel better?
Absolutely. Lengthen their outward breath.
I didn't think you were going to say something else.
Did
yes.
you?
Brilliant.
In the moment, if I know I'm going somewhere where there might be somebody or something that's going to trigger me, or I don't particularly like their energy, then I will just take a few moments and I might count, and I'll breathe in for 3 and out for 9. And that's instant switch from your sympathetic nervous system to
brain
your
chemistry.
Yeah, what you were saying before.
Brilliant
is
advice.
A game changer. And everybody who comes across me gets fed up of me saying that, because I think you've got to practice. The more you practice it, the more your body very quickly, when you do that, gets you into that relaxed state.
Brilliant advice. It does, and it's quick, it's instant, it's free. You can use your breath. I do that if people are in crisis. If I come up with someone's having a panic attack, the very first thing I do, and there's a breathing technique actually I've got on one of the resources, anchor breath, balloon breath, really quick breath in, big breath in, and then really slow breath out.
There's lovely ones with children as well, where they can have a pinwheel and blow it.
Yeah,
things
having lots of visuals. We used to do calm jars when I was working in different spaces. We'd create calm jars where we'd put different colours in the water and then shake it. And then that's the chaos. And then while you're learning to do this deep out breath, you can feel it will settle. So loads of visuals. I love that. What brilliant advice. I love it. So last question. This is to help me build the Spotify playlist, right? I know you're into your music like me.
Oh my word.
So it's a really tough question. This is for like feel good. The ultimate, if you were really needing to cheer yourself up and get the good vibes, what song would you be putting on? Because I'm going to add it to the Spotify.
I've got quite an eclectic taste.
You have. You always surprise me.
Yeah, there's a bit of big band in there. Sometimes there's a bit of musicals. But to cheer me up, my jump around and smiling. Yeah. Probably TerraVision.
Oh, nice. Which one?
So I don't know. Whales and dolphins always makes me smile, but yeah, pretend
Great.
best friend. I think and Tony Wright is an amazing songwriter. I
Brilliant
like
artist,
his
isn't
solo
he?
stuff as well.
I've not heard
Really
much of
real,
a solo, you know.
really
But yeah,
real stuff.
real, they're genuine, but proper, like you say, jumping around, just feel good
God,
tunes.
those gigs are just the best.
See, I've never seen TerraVision live.
Oh.
There's one band that I've not seen. I've seen a lot of
right,
bands.
okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind
Maybe
next
we need
time
to
I
go
see you.
and
I think you need to come and experience TerraVision.
if you find tickets, I'll go. Yeah, I'll go. It reminds me of the 90s. Reminds me of being a kid in the 90s.
Definitely.
Brilliant. That's going on the list then.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. I think we'll have another catch up at some point, and there'll be more things that we can do. And I'm going to add some little bit of footage in, of a bit of a tour of the site, and I'll add some links in. For like ticket sales and different things, and people can get in touch if they want to. But
that sounds
thank
great.
you for joining me today, and thank you for letting me hang out in the hammocks. It's just beautiful.
It's exciting,
I love it.
isn't it?
I just want to have a nap now.